Ever feel awkward to ask for help from your colleague or a person you know or some stranger? It triggers some brain regions that makes you anxious and you don't feel like asking for help. Hello, my name is Shubham and today we'll learn the right way to ask for help. So, grab a glass of water, drink it, take a notepad and let's get started. As research in neuroscience and psychology shows, the social threats involved the uncertainty, risk of rejection, the potential for diminished status, and relinquished autonomy activates the same brain regions that physical pain does. And in the workplace, where we are typically keen to demonstrate as much expertise, competence, and confidence as possible, it can feel particularly uncomfortable to make such requests. So, how can you effectively ask for help? How can you impose upon people without making them feel imposed upon? You need to understand that some common and perhaps intuitive ways of asking for help are ultimately unproductive because they make people less likely to want to give it. The easiest way to overcome the pain of asking for help is to realize that most people are surprisingly willing to lend a hand. When Venice Bones, a professor at Cornell University and a leading researcher in this area, recently reviewed a group of experiments that she and her co-authors had done, she found that compliance, that rate at which people provide assistance to strangers who asked for it, was an average of 48% higher than the help seekers had expected. People are much more likely to be helpful than we think they are. Studies also suggest that we underestimate how much effort those who do agree to help will put in. That's in part because saying no or helping only half-heartedly carries a psychological cost that we tend to discount. But it's also because most helpers know, even if only subconsciously, that giving freely and effectively of themselves has emotional benefits. A Swiss study published in 2017 found that people who simply pledge to spend even a small amount of money on someone else feel happier than those who plan to indulge only themselves. The key to a successful request for help is to shift the focus to these benefits. You want people to feel that they would be helping because they want to, not because they must, and that they are in control of the decision. This means avoiding any language suggesting that you or someone else is instructing them to help, that they should help, or that they have no choice but to do so. This includes prefaces such as "May I ask you a favor?" which make people feel trapped, and profuse apologies such as "I feel very terrible asking you for this," which makes the experience seem less positive. Emphasizing reciprocity, "I will help you if you help me," can also backfire because people don't like to be indebted to anyone or to engage in a purely transactional exchange. And minimizing your need, "I don't normally ask for help," or "it's just a tiny thing," is equally unproductive because it suggests the assistance is trivial or even unnecessary. If the potential helper and you are in the same teams, one reinforcement you will want to give a potential helper is an assurance that you are on their team and that the team is important. This taps into the innate human need to belong to a supportive social circle. There are several ways to do this. For example, research by Priyanka Kar and Greg Bolton of Stanford University shows that simply saying the word together can affect. When participants working on puzzles alone were told that they were doing so in tandem with people performing similar tasks in other rooms and could later exchange tips, they worked 48% longer, solved more problems correctly, and said they were less depleted by the task than those allowed to believe they were working fully independently. You might also cite a common goal, enemy, or trait such as the desire to exceed your team's sales target, rivalry with a competitor in your industry, or a love of superhero movies. But the best way to create a strong sense of in-group is to highlight shared experiences, perceptions, thoughts, and feelings. A second key for potential helpers involves creating or enhancing their recognition that they are uniquely placed to assist and that they are not merely people who might help you, but helpful people who routinely come to others' aid. For example, studies have shown that people contribute more to charity when asked if they would like to be a generous donor versus to donate, and that children as young as 3 are more motivated to complete tasks such as cleaning up blocks when told they can be a helper versus can help. Remember, however, that people don't all have the same vision of positive identity, so tailor your message. Research on pro-environmental appeals suggests, for instance, that liberal prefers phrases such as care for the natural world and prevent the suffering of all life forms, whereas conservatives respond better to show your love for your country and take responsibility for yourself and the land you call home. Gratitude is another powerful way to boost helpers' positive identity. A recent study by the productivity software company Boomerang of 350k email exchanges found that thanks in advance and thanks yielded average response rates from 63 to 66%, compared with 51% to 54% for other popular options including best, regards, and cheers. Even expressed preemptively, gratitude can keep people interested and invested in helping you, as long as you focus more on their generosity and selflessness and what that says about them as people than on how you will benefit from the help. People want to see or know the impact of the aid they will give. This isn't an ego thing. Many psychologists believe that feeling effective, knowing that your actions created the result you intended, is the fundamental human motivation. It's what truly engages people and gives their life meaning. Consider a study that Wharton's Adam Grant conducted at an outbound call center in an educational and marketing software company. Employees knew that the revenue they generated supported jobs in other departments with which they previously had no contact. After one of the beneficiaries of their work visited and spoke to them about their impact on his and others' job, the call center's sale and revenue doubled. To ensure that your potential helper know that their assistance will matter, be very clear about what you need and its projected impact. For example, when asking a colleague to review a client proposal, you might say, "Would you please review this before I send it to XYZ? Your input helped my previous pitch to ABC succeed. Promise to follow up afterwards," and do so. If possible, also allow people to choose how they help you and be willing to accept alternatives to your original request. You want helpers to give what they can and what will make them feel most effective.